When you're first dropping into a match, this will be the riskiest and the most RNG time of the game. But you don't have to let that become your downfall. There are plenty of ways to reduce your RNG to be close to non-existent. So today we'll be running through 5 tips to help you master the early game. But before we hop into today's video, I have a quick message from Victorious Eyewear, and I have their blue light blocking gaming glasses. Their glasses help with preventing your eyes from straining by, of course, blocking the blue light. But even though they're called gaming glasses, these are great for any time you're looking at a computer screen for any reason. They are also very comfortable glasses as well. I already wear glasses 24/7, and putting these on feel great. They're lightweight and stay on my head easily, which is all I can really ask for. If you want to get a pair for yourself, check out the link in the description below. I do want to quickly show you guys my newest Discord. There are 6 bots running 24/7. 3 of them are NA East and 3 are EU. There's a bot for solo zone wars, duo zone wars, and 1v1s respectively. All you have to do is add the bot and join their lobby. They'll leave after 2 minutes or when the lobby gets full, and then everybody can queue. It's a great way to find new people to play with, and I'll have the link to join down in the description. By far the biggest mistake that I see players make is being unaware and not conscious of what they have available to them. That can be with weapons, ammo, or mats, and at least 2 of these can be fixed easily. Ammo and mats are by far more easier to obtain and in larger quantities, and unlike weapons, can be lost entirely if you're not careful. There's been so many times where I've gone to build a wall and nothing places down because I'm out of mats. But if you're aware enough to realize that you have 0 mats and instead go for a shot rather than a defenseless build, you could end up coming out of the fight alive instead of going back to the lobby. But there's also a couple of ways to fix this. If you do have excess mats in the early game, it's going to set you up so much better to win your POI since you can create your own natural height and protect yourself better from third parties. Being able to control your positioning and not having to rely on buildings to build on top of or hills in the surrounding area is pretty crazy. When you can hold walls from people spamming you and then able to respond right back all the way up on height, it's a pretty devastating angle for anybody that you're fighting. But hundreds of mats aren't lying out in the open for your taking. Overall, the little things add up. Farming out your house with the one-shot items, hitting a couple of trees, running over to a fight, even having 10 more mats than your opponent can mean the difference between winning and losing. But if you do land somewhere that has a dense amount of mats, then I recommend taking advantage of it. Snobby Shores has an absolute ton of brick in the far north house that you can get like 400 brick within a minute. And Lazy Lagoon is even crazier. You can farm the mast and the front of the ship for a bunch of wood. And don't forget about the wood pallets in the bottom of the ship, and as well the cannonballs. All these are just some easy ways to pick up tons of mats that you can have to almost guarantee your survival as long as you don't choke it in a silly way. But if your location doesn't have an absurd amount of mats, that doesn't mean you can't find some areas in your POI that have more mats than other areas. Setting up a mat path and figuring out the little things that you can do to juice you up a couple extra mats is important. As well, landing in the same spot is a good habit to get into. You'll get faster at looting, and you'll know exactly where to farm and position yourself to make sure you're going to be in the best area. There's also the knowledge of ammo boxes, peaks, and everything else that may not be obvious or known the first time around. But you also have to be able to adapt in case another team contests and lands before you do, because landing on someone and 50-50ing is of course not a good idea, and typically you're going to be landing in a less advantageous position in comparison to whoever landed first. As well, in any game mode you play, the communication is super important. In an early game, it's one of the main factors that will play into whether or not you make it out alive as a full team. Landing together is also important for pushing and not getting isolated. If you land split all across the POI, you're going to probably end up solo fighting, or if the other team is good, they're going to end up 2 or 3v1ing you if your team can't get to you fast enough, which of course is a clear disadvantage. Your goal should always be to land together or at least hit a point where you can get to each other fast. Like for example, a POI that you can land sort of split is Meteor and Factories, because your teammates are going to be right down below you and you can jump off right onto them, or you also have an angle down below, which is quite a good one. That split is a good split. You're not going to the point where you can't help each other, and you also gain some good positional advantage. A bad split is something like somebody landing at Blue House and the other 2 teammates landing down at Cliff House. That's a pretty bad split, as rotating all the way across Salty isn't really as easy as it always seems, and that leaves one of your teammates isolated. Along with these sort of splits, communicating between each other, or if you're in solos, keeping a mental note of where everybody lands will make sure that you don't get snuck up on or get surprised by anything. As well, it will let you know what areas of the POI are safer to move into and loot after looting your main area. But always keep your eyes open, because even if you do land alone, if you land somewhere near other populated areas that are smaller in size, so like houses outside of Salty and retail, players can loot those super fast and rotate in and catch you off guard. So I always recommend to keep some sort of precaution in the back of your mind at all times so you won't be caught off guard. One of the best parts of early game is the amount of kills you can get depending on where you land. And this is something that will depend on your playstyle. But if you're landing somewhere that is heavily contested, it's a great way to pick up a ton of points in Arena or in any of the cups. And those kills are going to be a lot easier to get in the early game in comparison to mid or late game when they're all looted up and they have a ton of mats. As well, in Arena or cups, they are free shield and mats, which can be beneficial to help if players rotate into the POI after you finish fighting, so you actually have a chance. The mats and shields is also nice, as you don't have to get lucky enough to find shield or spend time farming mats. Otherwise, if you are in a normal match, this is where you're going to pick up a bunch of your eliminations. If you land somewhere that's a hot drop or a normal contested POI, like Salty, Paradise, or Pleasant, you can easily walk out with like 6 or 7 eliminations if enough players land there. And that is what's going to get you most of your eliminations that will boost your end kill count way up. And every drop spot has a different way to play them. And if you watch any of the pro players who land at their drop spot, you'll see exactly how to play them. And there is a drastic difference in between certain POIs. For example, looking at Fatal in comparison to somewhere like Shifty Shafts, fights at Fatal get drawn out much longer, as players have more space in between each other to loot and mat up, because they have the 2 different forests and the 2 different rock fields, which means the fight is going to last a lot longer than most other POIs, and there's a much higher chance of somebody rotating in to clean up both of the players. And since Fatal has such an open area, fights can start from afar and take a while to push in, which means if you don't spend your time wisely farming, you'll burn through all of your mats before you even get to your opponent. Now, somewhere like Shifty Shafts, your fights are going to rely more heavily on if you get a good close range weapon, as it's super compact and you're going to end up getting into a fight pretty quickly. So landing on a gun here is far more important than somewhere like Fatal, where you may have more time to loot in comparison. As well, the little things like right hand peeks are going to be very strong within Shifty Shafts, as there are tons of turns, and being able to peek your opponent without them being able to see you is a great way to catch them off guard and start the fight in your favor. But every drop spot has their own perks and downfalls, but finding somewhere that fits your playstyle or preference is important. And once you figure out where you want to land, mastering that drop spot to the point where you can play it out and win every single time is difficult. But as long as you learn from your mistakes and spend time trying to understand how to abuse the good parts of your POI, you have no problem destroying anybody who lands with you. I also recommend looking at what your POI has to offer you in terms of everything other than your standard loot. For example, look at Retail Row. With the zombies, it has easily become the most OP spot within the game for getting the best weapons and extra shield, and as well getting the easy shield just by killing the zombies. Also, in this season with little to no movement available, landing somewhere that has driftboards or even the volcano, which really are the only 2 forms of movement we have currently besides items like launch pads or shockwaves. Another item I like to take a look at is vending machines. I used to land Paradise solely for that reason. There's 3 spawns there, which is a possibility to get overpowered weapons, movement, or even shield. It's just something nice to be able to fall back on if you don't get the best loot from normal chests and floor spawns. Anyways, thank you guys for watching today's video. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. And if you did, don't forget to follow me over on Twitch, as I've been streaming over there quite often. As well, don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I post clips of my gameplay and sneak some teasers of some of my maps as well. All 3 will be linked down in the description. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more future tips, tricks, and tutorials. If you want some more right away, check out the playlist and videos on screen for some great ways to elevate your game. Other than that, thank you guys for watching today's video, and I'll see you all in the next one. I also want to remind you guys to head down to the description and check out Victorious Eyewear. I'm a big fan of their glasses, and I think you guys should head down to the description and make sure to go check them out.